live on YouTube. You can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. We're good.
Oh, I need to turn off my volume on YouTube here.
And then are we streaming on Facebook as well?
Yep, I can hear you.
You what?
I said, are we streaming on Facebook too?
I can only stream, yeah, I can try to stream it on Facebook too. We'll do that at the same time. It's not giving me the option now. Does it show that it's recording on your side?
It does.
Okay, perfect. All right, we're gonna get rock and rolling in a couple of minutes here. Coffee. Got all the technology piece worked out. Life is good. So for those of you that are watching this live on YouTube, we're going to get rock and rolling here in a couple of minutes. Give time for some more people to join and go from there. Actually disable the waiting room so people can just join. All right, so turn the participants over for you to manage at this point. That way I can focus on what I'm doing. Why don't you go into LinkedIn and share that we're live?
I don't have LinkedIn Live.
No, I mean the event. Just share it on your timeline that we're live right now.
Oh, okay. Let me do that. Hang on. Okay, I'll just put it from here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to see on YouTube where it is.
It'll be under my YouTube channel.
Oh, here we go. And it says live. One watching. That must be me. Okay.
There we go.
Huh. Hi, Altrabello. Nice to see you.
Welcome.
We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes.
Double check, make sure everything is set. We're rocking and rolling. Ready to go. So, all right, you got everything you need? You ready to go?
Ready to go. Let's have some fun.
Let's rock it. All right,
Okay.
Welcome everybody to this month's webinar. And we're calling it The Right Business Practices at the Right Time. So my name is John Pyron. I'm the business doctor. I'm your host. My co-host is here, top LinkedIn expert, Rhonda Shear. Rhonda, say hello.
Hello and welcome to the Right Business Practices at the Right Time. You are in the right place at the right time for sure for 2021.
I agree. I mean, we've been trying to do this webinar for, I think we started talking about it in August, and then we're going to do it in October, then November, and we're like, you know what, let's just wait till the first of the year. And I'm so glad we actually waited for this moment in time, because the information that we're going to share is not only working in the current market that we're in and the current environment that we're in, but the strategies that, I don't know about you, but the strategies I've been able to implement in my own business and in my clients' businesses towards the last part of the year. And then in the month of January, I mean, I'm going to go all into that on this webinar. I'm going to hand deliver it on a silver platter, business practices that I'm using in my own business, that you can use in your business, that my clients are using in their businesses to really just pivot and adjust to the economic environment that we're in right now. And I know, Rhonda, you're going to do the same. And so for the next 2 hours or so, what I would highly recommend you do, whether you're on the live webinar right now or you're watching the recording, is I would put your phone in airplane mode. I would not have any distractions. I would take copious notes, because we are going to drop so much content and so much strategy on you today that you're not going to even be able to be distracted. And so what I want you to do, kind of some homework items, is take notes. I've turned off the chat window because I want everybody to be focused on what we're talking about, but jot down your questions. So towards the end of our time today, or maybe throughout our time today, we're going to open it up for Q&A, and we want to be able to answer your questions. And so with that said, let me hop into what I want to talk about, and then Rhonda's going to come in and talk about LinkedIn and how to master LinkedIn and how to adjust your profile. I mean, ever since I met Rhonda and I had her go through my own LinkedIn profile and implement the strategies that she has taught me, that she's going to teach you here today, I went from, I think, 950 connections to 4,500 connections with the people that I want to be connected to. I get God knows how many requests per week of people that want to connect with me, and all because of the tweaks and the things that you had me do on my profile. I'm excited to have you here today to share that. And so with that said, let's hop into what I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about how to 10x your referrals. When I look at over the last 29 years that I've been speaking, and over the last, since 2012, that I've been delivering this particular talk, of all the talks that I get asked to deliver, this is the number one talk on how to generate referrals, how to literally put in systems in place where you can go into a given month knowing exactly how many referrals are coming to you, who they're coming to you from, on what day they're coming to you. And I'm going to show you how to set that up as a system so you can have as many referrals as you want. In fact, the only reason you won't have as many referrals as you want is because you don't take action on what I'm talking about today. The other thing I've added to this talk that I didn't have prior to March of last year is all the additional strategies for getting business during the area of COVID. So I'm going to go heavy into that. I coach 12 people at one time. That means 12 different businesses that I answer questions about every single week. You compound that over the last 12 months, and the skill set I have today compared to last year is unbelievable. But I will tell you this, every single one of my 12 clients had surpassed 2019 financial numbers in July of last year. We had to adjust a lot of their goals and set them even higher because of the pivots that we've taken. And so I want to go into that today and give you guys exactly what it is that you need to really just blow up your business. And so with that said, let's talk about, there's basically 3 questions that people have whenever they hear me speak. Number 1 is, who is this dude? Number 2, why should I listen to him? And number 3, what's in it for me? Those are pretty fair questions. And so let me see if I can answer those 3 questions by kind of telling you a little bit about my background. I grew up in a very poor home. I was born at a very early age in a little small town called Dallas, Texas. And up until about 12 years old, everything was peaceful and everything was great, and then moved to East Oakland, California. And I mean, deep East Oakland, California, where 69th Avenue and East 14th Street exists, and got mixed up in the wrong crowd. And one of the things I've learned in life and in business is 5 years from now, you'll be where you are going to be 5 years from now is going to be a direct result of the books that you read, the tapes or the audio and the video that you watch and digest, but more importantly, the people that you associate with. And back then, when I moved to East Oakland, I was hanging out with people that were involved in gangs and drugs and talking back to the teachers and being disrespectful. And I became a superstar in that area. Not bragging about anything, but I was a jerk. Okay, I was lost. Dropped out of high school, was heavy into drugs, had no direction in life, literally was living behind this home on 40th Avenue and East 14th Street in a trailer that was about the size of a king-size bed. And that's where I was. Prior to that, 12 years old, I met this guy, a guy named Gary Ballard. His son Tim and I became really good friends. Tim was about 4 years older than me. And so he allowed me to come in and sweep the parking lot, wash the cars. He owned an auto parts store. So, you know, he knew my home situation. And he's like, I understand your home situation. I grew up in a very poor home. It doesn't matter where you've been. It only matters where you're going. You can be successful, John. You can, you know, do something great in life as long as you're willing to show up and as long as you're willing to work hard. And so at home, I'm getting this message about this is our lot in life. We're going to be labor workers for the rest of our life. Nobody in our family's ever graduated from high school. This is just how it's going to be. And Gary's telling me, no, you can be successful.
John, we lost your sound for a minute.
What was that?
We lost your sound for a minute there.
Oh, okay. Is it back?
Yep, you're back. You're good.
Okay, good. And so what ended up happening is I moved in with him, bought me a car, started working full-time at the auto parts store, but my drug addiction was so heavy that I started stealing money from him to support my habit. He ended up getting me help. I ended up going to a treatment facility. I got out of the treatment facility. He said, hey, how can I ever repay you? He said, clean yourself up, make something of yourself, and when you're in a position to help others, I want you to do that. Never forgot that. And ever since then, everything in my life has been geared towards changing, associating with the right people. I hired my first mentor, a guy named Dave Vanny here in 1996. Taught me sales, taught me how to build a business, went on to build several multi-million-dollar businesses from scratch. Now, keep in mind, this is a kid Grew up in a very dysfunctional, poor home, no chance of success, and that was what's being told. And the other guy's telling me you can be everything in life you want, you know, if you do the right thing. I got skill set from this guy and went on to prove exactly what Gary had always told me, which is you can make a decision at any point in life to change the direction of your life. So how does somebody go from homeless to being the center page of the Sacramento Business Journal while the economy was collapsing? Well, it was the mentors that I had. It was the skill sets that I learned. It was the association that I had, the books I was reading. All that stuff started compounding and created a situation where I thought differently than everybody else. I was 40 years old when this article came out. My sister, who was raised in the same home, April 13th, 2007, when she was 40, put a bullet in her head and took her life because she couldn't take the message because of where she was at, that she could be greater in life. So here's the message for you. If you get nothing out of my time today, if you get nothing out of me talking today, the one thing I want you to totally embrace is it doesn't matter where you've come from. It only matters where you're going. You need to get a mentor, okay? Somebody to motivate you, somebody to coach you, somebody can help you develop, somebody can help you grow personally, somebody can stretch you and take you beyond where you're capable of going on your own. Everybody I know that is successful in life, professional athletes, you name the business person, they have had somebody come in and mentor them. And so if you really want to make it big during this time that we're in, you need to find somebody to help you. It's like Grant Cardone, my current mentor, told me in March of last year, don't go at this COVID thing alone. You need to have somebody to help you. And that's exactly what we've been able to do. So I have two outcomes for today. We have two outcomes for today. Number one, we're going to share some valuable content. We're going to share a ton of valuable content. And then at the end of the day, we're going to give you an opportunity to mentor with both of us. So at the end of my talk here, at the end of Rhonda's talk here, I'm going to come back. I'm going to share with you a program that we're launching in February that's going to give some of you, not all of you, is going to give you up to 12 of you the opportunity to mentor with us personally for 8 weeks. It's going to change everything about your business. It's going to change everything about your LinkedIn. It's going to change everything about marketing and sales and the results you're getting in your company. And we're only going to allow 12 people into the program. So if you want to be first in line, okay, all you need to do is go to johnpyron.com, johnpyron.com, click on the book appointment button and book a 10 to 15 minute phone call with me where I'm going to interview you for this program. But it's going to be on first come, first serve. Once all 12 is filled, it's done. Okay, we'll probably run it again maybe a couple more times this year. So let's talk about the 3 ways that you can 10x your referrals. Number one is the inner game, and that has to do with our mindset. And, you know, what goes on between the 6 inches between our ears. Got to have a great inner game, the mindset for anything that you want to do. Number 2 is you got to have a good outer game, which has to do with our processes, our systems, things like that. Number 3, you can have the best mindset, you can have the greatest systems in place, but if you can't get yourself to take action on a regular basis, none of it is going to matter. And so let's talk about mindset. And before we get started, and when it comes to mindset around referrals, one of the mindsets of a champion is that there's always room to grow. Now, how many of you would agree with that statement? How many of you believe that you have potential inside of you to perform at a higher level than the level you've been performing at? And everybody should be raising their hand because we all have potential to do better. One of the best stories around about mindset has to do with the great Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan arguably is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I mean, in order to even play in the NBA, you have to be great. But what made Michael Jordan so incredibly great wasn't his natural talent that he had, which he had a tremendous amount of it, but it was his mindset. And one of the processes he did every single time a season ended is he would go back and watch hours and hours of film. That's how long ago this was. Hours and hours of film of him playing basketball. And he would have a journal. He'd make a note of all the areas that he would like to improve in his basketball game. And then through a process of elimination, combination, he would whittle it down to one thing, just one thing. One thing that if he worked on this one thing during the off season would make the biggest impact on his game. So one season it was his left hand. That's all he focused on the entire off season was his left hand. The next season it was his strength training. Okay, and that's all he did throughout the off season is worked on that one thing. And as a result, over time, he became the greatest basketball player of all time. Well, that's good. Good for Michael Jordan. Congratulations to him. What does that have to do with you and I? Well, if you look back on 2020 or look back on the last 30 days or look back on the last 3 months or whatever period of time you want to measure, look back on that period of time, play your own game, make notes of everything that you would like to see improved, and then through a process of elimination, come down to your one thing. What is the one thing that if you worked on for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, the next year, would have the biggest impact in your business, in your personal life, and whatever area you want to see improvement in? So your first homework assignment is this. Pick a time that you want to measure whatever area of life you want to measure. Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your spiritual life. Maybe it's your friends. Maybe it's your finance. Maybe it's fun. Maybe it's these areas that you should be goal setting in. What are the things that you would like to see improve? And then whittle that down to one thing. There's a client of mine. Her name is Deborah Scarpa. She has a company called Design by Friday. And when her and I did this exercise, we whittled that thing down to one thing that was holding her back in her business. She had a huge resistance to sales. She would use words like, I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to pitch. I don't want to, there was all this excuse on why she couldn't pick up the phone and make that call. And I finally said to her, you have a resistance to sales. She was like, I've been in business for 22 years. What do you mean I got a resistance to sales? I have 3,000 satisfied customers. What do you mean I have a resistance to sales? I go, you have a resistance to sales. And she goes, okay. So I gave her an assignment. And I said, you know what? First of all, Deborah, it's not your fault. And if you have a resistance to sales, it's not your fault. In society, we experience certain types of salespeople, the used car salesperson, the person that calls us on the phone, the telemarketer, and we're like, I don't want to be that guy or that gal. And that's most of us. I hated sales. I absolutely hated sales. That's why my first company failed. And it wasn't until I hired with Dave Vanny that I faced that fear, which changed my life, which ultimately allowed me to build multiple businesses back to back. Sales is the number one skill in business in order to grow your business. The reason I bring up Deborah is her only referral system at the point was to get an organic referral, meaning she's done a great job, and every now and then somebody would refer her business. Well, if you built a business for any length of time, you can't scale a business based off of organic referrals. Sometimes they come, sometimes there's a 2 or 3 month dry season, but there are systems that I taught her how to put in place, and one of them was to how to overcome this resistance to sales. So I gave her a new script, and I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write this down, and I want you to write this down. Here's the definition I gave her. I said, selling equals service. Sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. So selling equals service. Sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. So one more time so you can get it down. Selling equals service. Sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. I said, you got it? She goes, yep. I go, I want you to write this down on a bunch of 3x5 cards. Okay, as many as you can. I want you to put one on the bathroom mirror. I want you to put one on the fridge. I want you to put one on the visor of your car, your computer monitor at work, your computer monitor at home, in your hallway, in all your bathrooms, everywhere you spend time, I want you to put this quote. And for the next 30 days, as you run across this quote, I want you to say it out loud or to yourself. Can you do that? I said, you're going to average about 10 to 15 times a day. She goes, yep, I can do that. Within 4 weeks, 5 weeks, her attitudes of sales completely shifted because we reprogrammed that subconscious mind, and she started being open to more and more strategies on how to approach customers. And at the end of our time, we worked together for 4 months. And at the end of our time together, she went off and joined a mastermind, which I thought was a great idea. I said, yeah, you should go join this mastermind. And so that's what she did. So she sent me this quote. She did this recommendation for me on LinkedIn. She said, we highly recommend John, blah, blah, blah. Our business revenue grew 4 times. Now, I was only working with her for 4 months. Our revenue grew 4 times while working with him. Hey, I'm happy for her. But I will tell you right now, had she not gotten through that resistance mindset around sales, no way this could have happened. She did the work. But because she had this breakthrough in her mindset around sales, she got her inner game dialed. Was she able to grow her business 4 times? Now, I caught up with her a couple of years later, and she more than 20 times her business because of her newfound definition for sales and embracing sales. So as it relates to referrals, the inner game around referrals is this. A lot of people go, well, I just don't get enough referrals. Well, the first thing you got to do is stop telling yourself that. Next thing you got to do is realize that if you've done business with anybody and you've had a conversation with anybody, they're a potential referral partner for you. They know people that you don't know. And I'm going to give you some systems right now that you can set up and implement today to start getting as many referrals as you want to get. So let's talk about referral systems. There's 3 key ingredients in referral systems, and the ones that I'm going to tell you about. Number 1 is we're going to identify who your wow client fingerprint is. So that customer that you absolutely love. You like them, they like you, their heart goes pitter-patter, your heart goes pitter-patter. Whenever you guys have a conversation, you look forward to working with this person. I'm going to show you a step-by-step system on how to identify who that person is. Number 2, I'm going to show you how to leverage what's called your power base network. Number 3 is I'm going to share with you a system that I've used to build 3 multi-million-dollar companies back to back. It was the only marketing strategy I had. Had I known what I know now back then, I could have even gotten there a lot quicker. But POI, still today, person of influence, is still my go-to strategy for growing any business at any point in time. So let's talk about who are the wow clients. It's very simple. When your client calls you on the cell phone and you see their call coming in, it's like on the screen, right? You have a choice. You can decline it or you can answer it. So I want you to pay attention from this point forward. When your client calls you, I want you to pay attention to that internal emotion that goes through your body. Do you look like this guy? You're stressed? You're like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to answer this call. Oh man, I really probably want to know what they want first, just in case. Or do you look like this guy? You're excited. You can't wait to take the call. You literally interrupt a call and say, hey, Joe, I'm on the other line. Can I call you back? I really am excited to talk to you, right? How many of you would like to have a lot of great wow clients? So it kind of reminds me of when I first got introduced to Steve Napolitan in May of 2015, I did a strategy session with him. I had 26 clients. And when he walked me through this exact exercise, I determined that out of 26 clients, 16 of them I didn't like. That was a big problem. So he taught me how to replace them with 2 more clients, get my client base down to 12, increase my rates dramatically. I more than doubled my income in 43 days working with him with this strategy right here. And I've helped lots and lots of clients. The clients that you work with, if you like them and they are a perfect fit for you, you're going to make a whole lot more money and have a lot more fun time. Life is too short to spend a third of your life working with people that you don't like. And so let me give you the homework here on how to get there. Number 1, perfect client exercise. Perfect client exercise is this. I want you to look at all of your wow clients, all the clients that you love, all the clients that you like, even past clients, clients that you worked with in the past. You think, man, if I could have them back, it would be great, you know? And I want you to make a list of all those clients. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is I want you to describe their business in detail, whatever details matter for you. You know, are they a man? Are they a woman? Are they a company? Do they have lots of employees? You know, what type of business is it? You know, describe what the details are of that client. That's number 2. Number 3, so number 1, make your list. Number 2, describe them in detail. And number 3, what makes it a wow experience for you? What is the thing that just like you enjoy about the relationship? Maybe they pay their bills on time. Maybe they show up on time. Maybe they execute. Maybe they continue to buy. Maybe you're in a product or service business and they pay their bill on time. Maybe they continue to reorder. Maybe they refer people. What is it about them that makes it a wow experience? What is that emotional connection that you have there? And then once you have those 3 things done, like I'm a very visual person. So I did this on like little sticky notes, okay? And so I put those sticky notes all over the wall. And then I look for, with a highlighter, what are the common things? What are the common things that these people have? And that's going to give you your wow client buyer fingerprint. You're going to be able to get laser focused on who your wow client is. Now, that's great for you. The next step is what's going to change the world. And that is, I want you to go and I want you to survey them, each one of your wow clients. I want you to pick up the phone and call them, because this is a marketing survey. And you're going to ask them, hey, Joe, now if they're a wow client, this is an easy call to make. So you're just going to call them up and go, hey, you know, I was thinking about you. I'm looking to do some unbelievably great things in my business this year for marketing. I want to get more clients just like you. Because I was talking to my coach. I was on this webinar. This guy, John Pyron, you know, shared this idea. Whatever you want to say, you just say, hey, you got 5 minutes? I want to ask you a couple of questions. They're going to say yes, or they're going to schedule an appointment with you. And so the first question I want you to ask them is this. If you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? I'll repeat it. If you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? If they're a wow client, they're going to say yes. If by chance they say no, then you thought they were a wow client, and now you get to determine what needs to be fixed so they can become a wow client. Okay? But most of the time, they're going to say yes. The next question is even better. Let's just say you were talking to that friend or colleague right now. What would you say about me? I want to get their words. What do they say about you? I know for me, they say strategy. Like the number one thing I've gotten out of working with you, John, is rock solid strategy in my business that actually works, that doesn't waste my time. The next one is structure and accountability and profitability. Those are, every time I do this, this is the feedback I get. What's the feedback that you would get from your customer? You're never going to find out if you don't ask. And so the more clients that you can do this with, the better. And then once you have that, again, put the Post-it notes on the wall or a spreadsheet or whatever, what are the common things these people are saying about you? What are the common things? So that way you know what the marketing words that you should be using in your LinkedIn profile, in your website, your Facebook, in your marketing, all that stuff. It reminds me of a story. My son, Preston, has a best friend named David. And when they were 9 years old, I took them up to a place called Apple Hill, which is near where I live. They have a ranch up there called High Hill Ranch. And in the middle of High Hill Ranch, they have this pond, and they stock it with catfish. And so we get up there, and they're like, Dad, I want to go fishing. I want to go fishing. I want to go fishing. I'm like, great. So we go over. I get the pole. The lady gives me a choice of three different baits: the hot dogs, the salami, and worms. Okay? Now, I know my client. Oh, wait, I know fish. And so I said, hey, give me the worms. So she gives me the worms. I go over, I put the worm on the hook, throw it out it's got a little red bobber, throw it out in the pond, get David's worm on his hook, throw it out there, and we're waiting. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. Next thing you know, this guy comes up with his son, gets the bait, goes across the other side of the pond, tosses the pole in the water, and within 5 minutes, they catch a fish. I'm like, oh crap, the fish are on the other side of the pond. So I reel in both poles. I chuck them as hard as I can across the thing, and still nothing. Meanwhile, he catches another fish. Then they catch another fish. And finally, the dad goes, wait, there's no catch and release here. It's $14.99 a pound, and we have to buy the fish. So he gets up and he walks towards the shack. I take a beeline over. I go, dude, what bait are you using? He goes, we're using the hot dogs. I'm like, shit, man, give me the hot dogs. So I go back, I pull in David's pole, I put the hot dog on it, I toss it in, pull Preston's pole in, I put the hot dog on it. Before I can even throw Preston's reel out, David catches a fish. So we're sitting there reeling it in, and the guy comes over from the shack, and he brings this little stake thing that we put in the ground. We put the fish on the string, and so I get Preston's pole in the water, get David's pole back in the water, and Preston catches a fish. Then David catches a fish, then Preston again. Finally, 7 fish later, because I wasn't as smart as the other guy. Remember, I dropped out of high school. I realized $14.99 a pound for 7 fish is a lot more expensive than $14.99 a pound for 3 fish. And I learned the best marketing lesson I've ever learned, which ties it on to what I'm talking to you about today, and that is, how did I find out what bait the fish were biting on? I asked, right? I simply asked. And all I'm having you do with your perfect clients here is you're just going to ask them why they do business with you, why they chose you over a competitor. Why do they keep doing business with you? And when you have this information, you now have the right bait to go into the market to attract more of the clients that you want. Because by the time, when you get done with this, not only do you have who your perfect client is, you have all the marketing keywords, you're going to take advantage of what Rhonda's going to share with you here in a minute, and you're going to be able to sprinkle that all over your LinkedIn profile. But now you get to run referral systems on your existing clients. And so we talked about the perfect client exercise. We're going to make a list of the wow clients. We're going to describe them in detail. We're going to describe what makes them a wow client. And now that you have all that in place, let's talk about the first referral system I want to give you. This has been the absolute best referral system throughout the entire era of COVID. For not only me, but all my clients. And that is your power base. Everybody in here, everybody on the live webinar, and everybody watching the recording, you all have a power base. These are your family and friends. These are your current and past clients. These are your current and past prospects. These are your social media connections. This could be the guy that beat you up in high school, okay? Or the gal that teased you in high school. Okay, they're all part of your power base. You can literally pick up your phone, and you probably have 100 contacts in your phone, and they're all in your power base, because they can either become a customer of yours or they can lead you to a customer of yours. And the key is going to be to take action now. You can do this today. You can take action on it every single day, and I promise you this, you will get new business out of this strategy. The only reason you won't get business out of this strategy is because you don't take action on it. So what do? Well, you make a list. Number 2, you pick up the phone. I'm going to give you 2 scripts. And you go back and listen to this recording. Okay? Get an app called Otter and let Otter listen to this recording. It'll transcribe the script. So family, friends, colleagues, all those people, it's this one script. Business, prospects, things like that, it's this other script. So the first script is simply this: pick up the phone. Like, Rhonda's in my power base. I've known Rhonda for years. So I don't need to have a script with her. I can literally pick up the phone and go, hey, Rhonda, how you doing? How you doing? How's business? How's the family? How's life? I'm just catching up with her. I can call my sister, my friend, my high school friend, anybody that I know. I can just simply say, hey, how's it going? How's your family? How's business? How are things with you? What are you up to these days? It's been a while. It's been like 2 or 3 years since we talked. How are things with you? They're going to tell you. At some point, they're going to ask you, what are you up to? How are things with you? And this is when you can say to them, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the business that I'm in. These are the things that I'm looking for. Who do you know? The other thing you do when you make that call, it's a great time to update your database. So when I'm talking to the person and say, hey, how's it going with you? Hey, Joe, before I get you off the phone, what's your address? Are you still at this location? Hey, what's your email? What's your phone number? I'm going to send you something. And I'll send them an email. I'll send them a thank you card. I'll send them something to maintain and rekindle that relationship. I can tell you how many clients came to me last year when COVID hit. This is the first I shut down everything else marketing-wise. Shut down everything else marketing-wise, shut down every other strategy, and this is the only strategy I used for the first 5 months. And I told all my clients to do the same. I said, it's going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly quick. And so you want access to the people's networks that you don't have access to, and this is how you do it. So I called almost everybody in the cell phone and rekindled relationships that I haven't talked to in years. And they led me to some great clients. So that's how you would deal with your family, friends, relatives, things like that. How you deal with customers, prospects, past prospects. It's an even easier call. You just can call them up. Hey, just thinking about you. You and I did business a couple of years ago. Just wanted to check in, see how you're doing. How's business? That one question will tell you a lot. They're either going to say, oh my God, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me. I pivoted my business. Life is good. Or they're going to say, oh my God, dude, it is like bad. It's tough. Life is terrible. No matter what they say, just say, hey, how can I help you? Who can I introduce you to? What customer are you looking for? What's the biggest problem you have? How can I help you? And they're going to tell you. And if you don't have somebody in your network to help them solve that problem, guess what the opportunity is for you? It's the opportunity for you to go find someone to help them with their problem. Henceforth, you got a new networking partner that you just referred into a client or a past prospect that is going to help them. That always comes back. At some point, that prospect, client, or whatever, when you're on the phone, is going to ask you the same question. How's things with you? How's your business? Man, I'm doing good. Keep the conversation upbeat and positive. No matter what they ask, everything is going great. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing in my business. This is the people I'm helping. These are the kind of the people I'm looking to work with. By chance, do you know any family, friends, relatives, clients, past clients, prospects who could benefit from my product or service? They'll probably say, not at this time. Or they might say, yeah. But let's just say, I don't know, let me think about it. Go, okay. So, you know, the nice thing is if you did know somebody, who would that be? And it's amazing that follow-up question when you when I ask that question, I know, man, I just put you on the spot. I don't expect you to give me a referral right now. But if you did know somebody, who would that be? And it's amazing how all of a sudden they know somebody. And I go, really? What's that person's name? How do you spell it? What's the person's email address? What's the person's phone number? You know, why do you think that they would be a good referral for me? Why do you think that they would benefit from my product or service? And they're going to tell you, hey, do you mind if I reach out to that person and mention that you referred me? Sure, Dad, go ahead. What's funny about this strategy, I have a client of mine, Jackson Sands Engineering. They're both highly intellectual engineers, civil engineers, you know? And when COVID hit, I basically gave them this strategy because they're not salespeople. They're like, dude, we're anti-salespeople. we don't talk. We just don't do that, right? We like computers and AutoCAD and all this other stuff. And so I gave them this strategy, and as a result, they didn't experience a downturn at all last year. They surpassed last 2019 numbers in July. And this is their one of their number one strategies. So if this will work for some of the most analytical non-sales people in the world, imagine what it can do for you. You know? And so take action on this. Pick up the phone, use the appropriate script, go back and take notes off the scripts I just gave you, practice it, role play it with the people that you like over and over again, and it'll work for you. And then next, follow up, follow up, follow up. Don't lose that relationship. Continue to keep in touch with them. Continue to send them something of value. Continue to connect with them. And then I want you to rinse and repeat it over and over again. Okay? So that would be your power base. Last system, and then I'm going to hand it over to Rhonda, is person of influence. Everybody has a network that they have influence with, but not everybody would be a POI for you. A POI would be somebody that has a high percentage of your target client inside their network. And you only need 4. To really build, I've only needed 4 to build a multi-million-dollar business, 3 of them back to back, and this is the only system that I had. And so how do you do that? Well, first you create a POI relationship. You look for somebody, you call up your existing customer, the easiest way, call up your existing customer and go, hey, who's your business insurance person? Who's your internet marketing guy? Who do you buy office products from? Who's your CPA? Who's your accountant? Who's your bookkeeper? What other products or services do you buy in your business? And they're going to tell you, say, hey, do you like the person? Yeah. Would you refer them? Yeah. Do you mind if I contact them to see if that person and I can network, and they're going to give you their information? Now, that person could be a client for you, could be a great networking partner. Then I want you to pick up the phone. Now I'm going to give you, I did 5 videos on this concept that walk you through it step by step, and I'm just going to give it to you for free. I'm going to add it to a Dropbox folder, and you can download it. But if you execute on this strategy, the next thing is decide the strategy you want to use with them. Maybe it's a reciprocal referral relationship. Maybe it's what Rhonda and I are doing today. Like we're doing a joint venture. Rhonda's a POI for me. I'm a POI for her. We're doing this joint venture webinar. We have a few people on the live webinar, but the thousands of people that are going to watch the recording in her network and my network is going to be a huge benefit for both of us. And so, and this is not the first time or the last time that we're going to be doing this, but find people that are going after your target customer, decide on the strategy to use. Then I want you to execute the strategy consistently. Measure the results of that relationship quarterly. And if it's not working, have the discussion with the person or find somebody else that you can do that relationship with. So a reciprocal referral relationship would be one strategy. And that is make a list of 10 potential POIs. Just make a list of 10. Narrow that list down to 4 people. Visit their LinkedIn profile. And you're going to look for the top 10 people on their connections list that you would like to be introduced to, and you're going to let them know, hey, do you know these people? And they'll say, well, I know that person, I don't know that person, I know that person, I don't know that person. But most likely, I average anywhere from 5 to 7 referrals every time I meet with a POI. because I go to their LinkedIn or social networks prior to meeting with them. I get a list to jog their memory, and I always walk away with 5 to 7 referrals from them. If it works out with that person, schedule a reoccurring meeting once a month. Connect with them. Could be on Zoom, could be in person. And I've been doing this strategy since 1993, and I still have those relationships today. Anytime I want a new client, I reach out to my POIs first. I always get new clients within about 6 or 7 days, very quickly. Next, bring a referral form. I'll send you this referral form. It has the name, company, phone number, email, memory joggers, what a good referral is for you, places for them to bring in and say, hey, bring this to the meeting. And I'll do the same for you. So last but not least, this is a client of mine, Steve Varakis. So he owns a company called Calm Computing, engineer, highly analytical. Took him on. He had no employees, no systems, no processes or anything in place. Literally had an office with no windows. I taught him the strategy. He already had several clients. Taught him how to build a POI network. He came to me because of Jim Canaris was a POI for me, and I asked him, hey, who do you know? And he gave me Strategic. She and I worked together for 4 years. At the end of our time, 5 employees, almost $1 million a year in revenue. Okay? So I know this works. So if you want to get this system, I'm going to put all this in a Dropbox, okay? I want you to text me your name and your email address, first and last name, to 916-741-0596, 916-741-0596. I'm going to put you in my email list. Okay, you're going to get some good emails from me. Opt out, opt in, I don't care. You know, I only share great content. I don't blast and spam people. Okay, but the amount of content I'm going to give you for free, you got to download it, and I can't email it. So if you're interested in that, put your name and email address, 916-741-0596. When Rhonda finishes, we're going to have a whole library of stuff we'll just give to you, but we'll need to add you to that Dropbox folder. So hopefully you got a lot out of what I'm talking about. I'm going to come back here in a little bit and share one more idea before we go. But for now, let me introduce one of the top LinkedIn experts in the world, in my opinion. None other than Rhonda Shear. Take it away.
Thanks, John. That was absolutely a great presentation, I have to tell you. And there's so much synergy between what you do and what I do. And I think that when people hear about LinkedIn today, they're going to absolutely see how these two go hand in glove. And I've been doing the same things that you've been teaching. I've just been using LinkedIn. And I'll just share one quick thing, because I absolutely love what you just talked about in terms of your POI and your referral. And I use these 4 words, which are, I need your help. And it's amazing what happens when you ask people for their help. And it's the same thing that you're doing. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll go from there. So let me just grab it right here. Hang on. And don't you just love it when, there we go. Okay. So here it is. Let me just open this, and perfect. And then we'll just wait until the end to start. But I'll go through this. What the heck? Okay. There we go. Okay, so let me jump in, and we'll kind of go from here. Don't you love when technology? There we go. Okay. Oh, hang on one sec. Isn't this great? I love it. I just brought up the PowerPoint, and it was not the PowerPoint that I was looking for. So here we go. Okay, here we go. All right, let's start again. Okay. Slideshow from the beginning. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So whether you're here with us live today, or John, you might want to mute yourself because there's a lot of background noise. There we go. Perfect. So whether you are an entrepreneur, a sales professional, a speaker, or real estate, any kind of C-suite, you're in the right place. So let's jump in and probably want to take some notes because I'm going to give you a lot of information and I'll give you some background on me as well. But first, let's just talk about, why do you need an upgraded LinkedIn profile and why now? And John talked about what last year was like with COVID. And I got to tell you that now more than ever, LinkedIn is where people are checking you out. So if you don't have a strong LinkedIn presence, if you don't have a profile that actually tells people who you are and what you do is your digital footprint, it's like you're walking up to that ATM machine all day long, putting your card in and walking away without your 20 bucks. So you're going to learn a lot today about why LinkedIn is so important. And these are just a few statistics that I think most people don't realize. And the biggest one is that 90% of the people that are on LinkedIn are on Facebook. And the reality of it is that 94% of B2B marketers are getting their content, are using LinkedIn to push out their social media content. And posting, which I'm not going to have a lot of time to talk about today, but posting is probably one of the easiest ways to stay top of mind with your prospects and referral partners and your clients. And one of the easiest ways to actually get appointments with those people. So if you keep in mind that every second, at least 3 new people are joining LinkedIn, and you are literally probably 1 click away on somebody's computer from your LinkedIn profile, you need to pay attention to LinkedIn.
Can't hear the volume.
Oh, hang on.
Here's a client who pays me now every single week. Wires, $13,000, 160. Working with Rhonda clearly has been beneficial to me. It's been something that's helped me grow my business. It's helped me maintain my brand online. Great integrity, highly intelligent, and someone that really wants to work with you for your success.
So why do I share a video testimonial? Number one, you need to have those on your LinkedIn profile. What somebody else says about you is going to be 1,000 times more powerful than what you say. And there is a section on your LinkedIn profile called featured. That's where you want to put your case studies, your video testimonials, your audio video testimonials, because that's where people are going to go and say, well, why should I work with this person? Why should I hire them? Well, Kirk is just one of the thousands of people that I've worked with, but he actually is showing you the physical proof of how he generated an additional $50,000 working with me. So I tell you that because I think it's really important that people don't know that you can put video on your LinkedIn profile. You can put PDFs. It's the #1 channel that people use to distribute content, and it drives more traffic to blogs and websites than Facebook and Twitter combined. So let me tell you a little bit more about my story and why LinkedIn works. It worked for me and it can work for you. Actually, I grew up in Boston, believe it or not, don't park my car anymore, and thought originally when I grew up that I was going to be an attorney. And then I decided that wasn't really the path I was going to go on, graduated from UMass, and I spent the first 20 years of my career as a paralegal. And then I got married, and there it was. And I was married for 28 years. I have these 2 amazing daughters. On the left, you'll see Vanessa, who's now 29. On the right is Stephanie, who's 31. But like life happens, and after 28 years, I ended up getting divorced. And not only did I get divorced, but my life fell apart. My mom had died. We short sailed an $800,000 house for $360,000. I had a cancer scare. My kids were empty nesting, and there I was, divorced, living on my own for the first time. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to be one of those supermarket greeters. But I remembered I had a superpower, and everybody has a superpower. My superpower was I knew how to use LinkedIn. I knew how to connect. I had written a book on LinkedIn in 2009 called The ABCs of LinkedIn. Get LinkedIn or Get Left Out. I'd written another book called The 2-Minute Networker, and I knew how to use LinkedIn to find clients, and I knew how to use LinkedIn to help other people. But at that time, nobody was hiring speakers. Nobody was hiring trainers. So I thought, what can I do? I need to make money. So I went out and I got my life insurance license. And I thought, well, where are my clients? And I realized my clients were with the mortgage brokers. Well, how did I figure that out? Well, anybody that owns a house probably is going to get life insurance. And I was selling the kind of life insurance you didn't have to die to use. It was living benefits. So I went on LinkedIn and I started approaching the mortgage brokers. And within 6 weeks, I was making $6,000. And within a year, I was making 6 figures. Now, what I realized was I didn't love selling life insurance, but I had a system that worked. It was completely duplicatable, and anybody could use it to grow their business on LinkedIn. By the way, when I first got married, you can see I look a little younger there. I was in my 20s. My husband said he had only one request of me. I said, sure, what's that? He said, please don't make more money than me. Well, fast forward, and after 6 years of being divorced, we got remarried. So I lovingly like to say that Bob is my husband, my husband. Didn't have to change my name, and the kids are ours. But here's the part that's really amazing. When we remarried, he said, you remember when we got married and I asked you not to make more money than me? I have a request. Please make more money than me. And using LinkedIn, I was able to retire Bob in November of 2020 from his corporate job. And we were able to move to Carlsbad, buy the home of our dreams. And, all of it is because of the system that was in place and the mentors, as John mentioned, that I found to help me in my journey. So what I'm going to share with you today is a lot of what your profile needs to have and how to use LinkedIn. Because honestly, you know what? There's no talent involved. Absolutely no talent. It's all technique and it's all transferable. So let's jump in. So how do you position yourself as the go-to expert on LinkedIn? The first thing you need to have is a professional LinkedIn profile. And I cannot tell you how many people think that they actually do have that. But the truth is they're not dressed for the party. And I'm going to show you some examples. The second part are the keywords. What are the keywords that somebody is going to use to find you? If you are somebody that does reverse mortgages, as an example, are you going to put in your LinkedIn profile the name of your company, or are you going to put in, I help people 60 plus and over, with reverse mortgages so that they don't run out of money at retirement? You want to make sure that you let people know with keywords what it is that you do, okay? And then the third part is you need to be active. So many people join gyms and they never show up, and then they complain and they go, oh, I didn't lose any weight, I didn't gain any muscle. LinkedIn, if you spend 30 minutes a day on LinkedIn, you will be, and you're active, visible, credible, and profitable. And all it really takes is making the connections, getting the recommendations, and posting, sharing, and liking those posts. So let's jump in. So one of the things that I strongly recommend that you put on your profile is a list of sample clients, sample industries. This is probably an eighth of some of the people that I've worked with. But you will see that on my LinkedIn profile, there's probably, 117 recommendations. I'm not sure how many are there. But what you'll be able to see is who I've worked with. Does your LinkedIn profile show who you've worked with? You need to be able to demonstrate that you have credibility in your industry, because people always want to know, okay, who else has this person worked with? What kind of results did they get? So it's really, really important that you demonstrate that. Every question that's in your prospect's mind or your referral partner's mind should be answered on your profile. Now, I lovingly say to people, oh my gosh, you're in the LinkedIn Witness Protection Program. Why? Because so many people have profiles with no background. They don't have a photo, or if they do have a photo, they have it set so that unless you're connected, you can't even see it. And then instead of underneath their job title, they don't position what they do. This person says Vice President and Chief Executive Officer at blank credit union. Nobody is ever going to find this person if they were looking for somebody at a credit union who is the Chief Experience Officer. They won't show up because they don't have the right keywords. So if you're in the witness protection program, nobody is going to find you. And what I love to do, it's my favorite part of working with people, is actually hearing their story, finding out who they are, what they do, what the change, what difference they make in the world, and positioning them as the only logical choice and getting them out of that LinkedIn witness protection program. So what's the first step? Well, after you have a banner that actually brands you, and we're going to talk about that, it's having a professional headshot. And if you look at every one of these headshots, what do you notice? A background in the back that's plain color. Okay, it's not a bunch of trees. It's not, a beach. It's very easy to look at. They're all smiling. They're all dressed professionally, and they're all looking at the camera. And you might want to write this down. There's an awesome website where you can actually find out what other people think of your headshot. And it's called Photo Feeler, PHOTOFEELER, and you'll have some fun with it. But you're actually 14 times more likely to get views if you have a professional headshot, and 36 times more likely to get a message if you have a professional headshot. So if you don't have a headshot that's professional, that's the first place that I would go to upgrade your profile. Because if you're gambling with that, you are losing potential business. And the sad part is you probably don't even know it, because those people didn't bother to stop to connect with you, to send you an email, to send you a message, or even to like or comment on one of your posts. So make sure you have that. So what's the problem? The problem is that most people, not all, but a lot, show up on LinkedIn like they're going to a black tie event, but they're dressed in their running clothes. So let's look at Chris. Chris is the president and CEO of a company called Big Fog. Now, if you've ever been to an NFL stadium prior to COVID, most of the misting systems that you see in those stadiums were put in by Chris and his company. But if somebody referred you to Chris and this was his profile, you might think twice. Number one, his head's kind of stretched out. Number two, he has no banner. Number three, it says president and CEO of Big Fog. You don't even know what Big Fog is. Now take a look at it. Now you see the branding and what he does. You also see his picture. It's a great photo. He's smiling. He's looking at the camera. He also has an MBA. You know what? If you have an MBA and they don't hand those out, tell people. That puts you in a different category. And then there are the keywords for what people search for him for. Misting fans and misting systems, outdoor and event cooling. And then he puts his phone number there because he wants people to be able to reach him. And I know you probably are thinking, oh, I don't want to put my phone number on there. I would not recommend putting your personal cell phone. If you have a business phone, you can put that there, or go out and get a Google Voice or use Grasshopper or some other system to put a phone number there. You want to be able to let people know how they can reach you. So are you showing up like you're going to that black tie event in your running clothes, or are you dressed for the party? And, I hear this all the time. Oh my gosh, I update my profile, every 5 years. Well, the reality is that if you want to fill your calendar with qualified prospects, if you want those referrals, if you follow a system like John Pyron's, where you're going to be getting all kinds of referrals because you're going back to those people, they are going to look at your LinkedIn profile. I can almost guarantee it. And if you haven't updated it and you're like, well, I try to update it every 5 years or so, think about it. Have you pivoted in the last year? Has something in your world changed? And if you change your profile and you upgrade it, your views are going to increase. So you want to make sure that you do upgrade it and that you do keep it current. Or maybe you're just spinning your wheels and you're trying to figure out how to use LinkedIn. I'm going to show you exactly the things that my clients do to generate an additional 10,000 to over 6 figures every month from LinkedIn. So let's talk about the banner. Does your banner tell your visitors what you do? Does it separate you from your competitors? Is it an attention grabber? And is it a branding mechanism? You want to be branded consistently across all platforms. So if you happen to have a website, you want to make sure that your branding on your website is similar to your banner. You want to make sure that it is an accurate reflection of you. You might even want to put a link to your website. If you have a specific call to action and you're looking to send people to a webinar, to a landing page, whatever, you can put that on your banner as well. You want to make sure that you take advantage, and it's free. To do that banner, you don't need to use anything that costs money. You can even do it on Canva. It's that easy. So don't be like this person where you leave it blank. Here's my new banner. Now let's just dissect it for a second, okay? The first thing that you see is my tagline, converting relationships to revenue. Then I show a copy of my international best-selling book, and it has my Google phone number and tells you what I do. You can see that it's a professional headshot. It's got the gold button, which tells you I'm using the paid version of LinkedIn. And then it also tells you what I do in my headline. Virtual and live speaker, LinkedIn profile makeovers. I help you get more business using LinkedIn. LinkedIn help for sales professionals, realtors, speakers, coaches, and business owners. Corporate coaching programs. You have 240 characters. If you're not using them, you are losing potential business. So let's talk about the headline that I just break it down the way I just showed it to you. Does it grab the attention of the person that's looking at your profile? Does it separate you from your competitors? There's a lot of people that do the same thing. You know how many people do what I do? So many. But how do I differentiate myself? I want to make sure that people see the keywords and they know who I am, and it introduces the about section. So let's jump in and take a look at an example of another one of my clients, Barbara. Barbara actually runs masterminds. And if you look at her banner, it's very much in line with the branding on her website. She's actually selling her mastermind program so that other people can buy licenses for it. And as you see, it says we offer licensing opportunities. And she says for who? Coaches, sales managers, marketing experts, and consultants who want a turnkey mastermind program. What's the result? Generates income, helps entrepreneurs and business owners grow and be supported. So if your banner, your headline, and your photo are not the way you want to be perceived and received, you may want to consider changing it because potentially you're losing a lot of business. Now let's talk about the about section. Does your about section, that's the next section down, does it talk about what you do and the services you offer? Does it highlight your biggest achievements? Does it have a list of potentially sample clients, sample industries that you worked with? And does it tell people something on a personal level? Why is that so important now? Think about it. Most of us are on Zoom when we have our meetings. And you know what? With our backgrounds that are either a green screen or you look at my background, it doesn't tell you anything about me. So you want to be able to find a way to relate to people. And in that about section, you want to let people know. So if you look at, for example, one of my clients is a land banker. Now, there's nothing sexy about land banking as a retirement strategy. However, the client that is a land banker actually used that strategy to start an orphanage in Vietnam. And she's also an Air Force vet. So her profile actually says that she started this orphanage, and it's in her about section. If you look in my about section, it'll tell you that I'm a certified face reader, which means that I read faces. I can look at your face and I can tell you how we can develop instant rapport, because I know that if you have a certain kind of eyebrows or a certain type of cheeks, I can tell how you process information. I'm not judging you. I'm just knowing what it's going to take to develop rapport with you. And I actually tell the story about marrying my husband twice. Why? Because it's relatable. And I can't tell you how many people that I've shared that story with that's actually inspired other people to think, maybe that's something I could do, or maybe not. And also in that about section, stay away from the word I, the letter I. You don't want to have that more than 2 or 3 times at the very most, because people don't care about you until they know how much you care. And finally, make sure you have a call to action in that about section. Why do you want people to reach out to you? And how do you want them to reach out to you? It's very, very important that your about section tells people that. So here's Scott Ginsburg, and he's one of my clients. And you can see it's pretty, his banner is very clean: tenant representation, commercial real estate broker. And you can see, very clean picture, and it tells you exactly what he does. And when you look at his about section, it's very, very clean. It tells you what he does, who he does it for, tells you about his background, the services he offers, and his contact info. And when I worked with Scott, I said to him, one of the things I said was, Scott, you want to go out and get recommendations, and you want to give them, because it's very, very important to have current recommendations. And this is what Scott said. He said, Rhonda's been one of my best assets to grow my commercial real estate tenant representation business. Working with Rhonda and her proprietary process, I was able to generate 29% more business that ultimately led to an additional 7 figures in business revenue. I simply could not have done this without Rhonda. She is sharp, creative, and an extremely hard worker, and goes above and beyond the call of duty. Best yet, I'm proud to call her a friend. She's a great person, and I would not hesitate to recommend Rhonda to any company person to enhance their top line. Scott Ginsburg, commercial realtor. You can't pay for those kind of recommendations. You can't. And the reality is that if you go to the profile and you see that, you're literally 1 click away, so that you know that this is genuine. And you can pick up the phone and call Scott and ask him if it's true. You want that on your profile. You want your profile to inspire confidence, because people are 2 times more likely to be confident in what they see on LinkedIn than any other social media site. 2 times. So if you haven't got a LinkedIn profile that you could show to a friend that would say, listen, if I actually referred somebody to you, and the only thing they could check you out on was your LinkedIn profile, based on looking at this profile, would you still refer to me? If the answer is no, then do one of 2 things: fix it up or take it down, because I promise you, you are losing business. I actually did a presentation to Keller Williams several years ago, and I asked the question, I said, has anybody here ever lost business because of their LinkedIn profile? And this woman raises her hand and she said, I did. And the woman was about 75 years old. She said, I've been selling real estate for 40 years. And the only reason I haven't retired is because my husband did. And if I stayed home, I'd go nuts. And I went out on a listing appointment, and I knew that they were looking at another agent as well. And I thought the appointment went great. I was very prepared. I came in and I didn't get the listing. And I called the woman and I asked her afterwards, I said, I'm just curious, why did you not select me for the listing? And the woman said, oh, I'm so sorry. My son looked at your LinkedIn profile and said I couldn't hire you. Well, she had actually neglected LinkedIn, and she didn't realize that that was actually hurting her. So, think about it for a minute. Does your profile inspire confidence? Do you feel really good about the fact that you could send somebody to your profile and they can see, the kind of work that you've done, how long you've been doing it, the type of clients you've been working with, what other people say about you? Or, is it kind of like, when you run out to the market maybe and you're not, for me exactly, maybe, and no makeup and, you don't want to run into anybody and you see everybody, it's like, no. You always want to be dressed for the party. Nicole is another one of my clients. And, it's kind of interesting because Nicole, this was prior to COVID, was told about, she's an event planner, and she was told about a particular engagement that they were looking for somebody with her experience, but her profile and her website did not say that she had pharmaceutical sales experience. And the person said to her, look, Nicole, the only thing they're going to consider is your LinkedIn profile and how you interview. And she was like, oh boy, okay. So she reached out to me and we upgraded her profile. It took us just a few days and she ended up getting a $30,000 engagement. And this is what she wrote. She basically said, since Rhonda revamped my profile and worked with me over a period, I've landed my largest corporate job to date, which is a 4-day conference with more than 1,000 attendees. I would highly recommend Rhonda. Who is saying amazing things about you? If you're not saying, would you mind writing that in a recommendation, putting that on a video, then you are actually not doing yourself any favors. When somebody says something nice, okay, and you happen to be with them, whether it's on a Zoom or live, just say, you know what, would you mind if I just recorded this? I would love to be able to share this with my audience. And most people will say yes. In the days before COVID, when we used to go out and somebody might say something, because I'd go over and do a profile audit with them or something, and they would say nice things. I'd say, oh my gosh, my kids don't say anything nice. Would you mind if I recorded that? And everybody would laugh. Now, the truth is my kids do say nice things. But, in reality, always, always, always ask. If somebody says you did a great job, ask for that recommendation, ask for that testimonial. In the same way that John went through and talked about how you go and, ask those point of influence people for a recommendation to somebody else. If somebody has said you did a great job, ask for that testimonial.
She truly is like a wizard at LinkedIn. And I was just amazed. I got so much value even from our first conversation. As soon as she overhauled and changed my LinkedIn, someone found me who was seeking me out, which led to a conversation and a Zoom, which now led to this person being a new member and brand partner on my team. So Rhonda, I can't thank you enough. And I highly recommend her. If you're looking to get better results on LinkedIn, leave it to the expert. And she is truly the expert.
Now, what's interesting is that's Sonia, and Sonia found me on LinkedIn. I didn't find her, and she is the number 2 in her network marketing company. And she knew that there were a lot of professional people in direct sales and network marketing on LinkedIn. And she also knew that they look for leaders on LinkedIn because a lot of these companies are closing. And it was the way that she was positioned that within a week of doing her profile, somebody reached out to her. So the question I have for you is, does your profile tell visitors why they should work with you? Does it actually give them a reason to pick up the phone? Yeah, the phone actually, right? To send a message, or does it not, does it basically confuse them? I love this slide. This is actually a slide of somebody looking through the lens that has cataracts. And that was me. I'll never forget, about 2 years ago, I was driving with a friend on the freeway and she said, Rhonda, you need to pull over. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, no, you need to pull over. You're in danger on the road. I'm like, what? I had no idea that the lights were blinding me. I really didn't. And she said, no, I had cataract surgery and you don't even know that everything is yellow. Well, I actually did have the surgery and everything went into HD, but think about your LinkedIn profile in that way. You probably think my LinkedIn profile is pretty good. Maybe you're not getting business from it, but you certainly don't think you're potentially losing business. But what happens when it's really upgraded, optimized, you're dressed for the party? You will see how the increase in views goes up, how when you reach out to somebody to connect, they're going to respond, how when you reach out to reconnect with the people that you are already connected to, not to sell to them, because LinkedIn is a platform for serving, not for sales, but just to have a conversation, to reach out and ask for the opportunity to say, I'd love to jump on a call, see how 2020 was for you. And you use the right language. You are going to be perceived so differently. And, just looking at this slide, I remember when I started looking at my television set and I was like, oh my gosh, I always thought that it was the TV that was a little blurry. I didn't know that it was the way that I was looking at it. And, the other part of this is when I went to find a surgeon to do my cataract surgery, I got to tell you, I saw 3 surgeons, okay? And the one that I ended up having do the surgery, I asked him one question. I said, how many infections have you had? How many problems? He said, I've been doing this for probably 40 years, and I've had maybe 1 infection. It was very minor. And I went on Google, and the guy had 350 5-star reviews. I had no hesitation about letting this man put a knife to my eye, okay? So when you're going to go and hire somebody, whether it's a coach, for anything, ask them, how can I find out what other people think about you? And ask those questions, because it's very, very important. Perception really is everything. So let's talk about Google for a second. The old joke is, where do you hide a dead body on Google? Page 2, because nobody goes there. But literally, hundreds of millions of people are doing searches every single day on Google. And if you think about LinkedIn, LinkedIn is very much like, people that do searches on Google's. They're putting in their keywords and they're looking for people that do exactly what you do. And LinkedIn will tell you how many searches you come up in. I come up in about 2,300 searches every 90 days. That actually ends up with, being at least 10 appointments a week with quality people, not people that want to sell me, people that I can be referring, because, there's a lot of people that need help in working the sales process. I don't teach people how to do that. I refer them over to my friend John Pyron. That's why they call him a sales doctor. I'm always going to be the person that's going to say, who can I refer you to? So when you think about Google, have you ever Googled yourself, right? I remember when my kids were really young and they Googled all the moms and they said, oh my gosh, there's like 10 pages on your mom. What does she do? And they said, oh, she doesn't even have a job. She just speaks. And I thought that was so funny. But, the reality is when you do talk, whether it's on a live or a virtual stage, if that is if somebody puts it out there, it's going to show up on Google. So you need to be able to tell your story. And when I did Google myself, even though I have those 10 pages, the first thing that shows up is my LinkedIn profile. And 70 to 80% of the time, that's what's going to happen for you. So I would encourage you all to Google yourself. People are 2 times more likely to be confident on the information they find on LinkedIn than any place else. And why? Because when you look at recommendations, you can click over to see who actually said it. You can actually look at their profile. It's very logical and it has all the information, and you're in charge. You get to decide what goes on there. So make sure that when you have a LinkedIn profile, that you're really confident that the information you're putting out to the world, remember, Microsoft owns LinkedIn. They bought them for $26-something billion in October of 2015. Make sure you're showing up the way you want to be seen with your digital footprint. Who's going to visit your profile? Well, it's probably going to be prospects and partners and maybe people looking for jobs. It could be press. Oh my gosh, I get people that reach out and ask me to guest on podcasts. That is one of the best ways to share your information. But you need to know who's going to visit your profile. And I am a very, very big proponent of using Sales Navigator, the paid version of LinkedIn, because that's how you'll find out who's visited your profile. The free version will only tell you the first 3 to 5 people. So you need to actually know who is going to be visiting your profile and what words they're going to search on. And you need to know whether you've differentiated yourself from your competitors. And there are ways, and when John comes back and tells you a little bit more about how we have an 8-week program put together, that there are ways that you can actually search out your competitors and they'll never know you looked at their profile, which is pretty cool. So if you're on the revenue roller coaster with highs and lows, like so many people are.
Without Rhonda's brilliant systems, I would never have been able to earn over $90,000 at a 2-day event. It was a personal record. Thank you, Rhonda.
That's John Pike, one of my clients. And again, these are all on my profile. So are they on yours? Do you have people that have said amazing things about you? that's one of the things that you really want to do. So the last thing I want to talk about is, are you sending visitors to your competitors? You know, now more than ever, we all shop on Amazon, right? And every time you go to buy something on Amazon, Amazon says, hey, before you leave, you might like, I just bought an electric bike. And so I started looking at, you know, reflective wear and, you know, mirrors and all the cool stuff that you put on it. And before you know it, you know, I thought I was just, going to buy a reflective vest. And the next thing you know, I bought 10 other things that went with my electric bike because Amazon suggested it. Well, on your profile, the natural default is that people also view. So if I'm on your profile, LinkedIn is so nice. They're going to tell me who else people looked at that are like me. But I don't want them looking at other profiles. If I work that hard with keywords to get you to my profile, I don't want you to leave. It's a setting. You need to know how to handle your privacy settings, because if you don't, you will be sending people to your competitors. So know how to set your privacy settings so that you are not sending them to your competitors. And finally, you know, once you crack the code of identifying how to present yourself in a way that you are the only logical choice, all the pieces come together and people will want to learn more about you. So it comes down to presenting yourself in a way that's unforgettable, that actually tells people who you are, what you do, how you do it, prospecting in a way that isn't salesy, connecting and reconnecting with your past connections, and posting. And then finally, it leads to the third P, which is profit. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, John. And I think at this point, we can actually open up for questions if we want to. So, John, are you still there? Do you want to unmute?
Yep, I am here.
Cool. So
Okay.
we are live. We can open up for questions, and I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right, so anybody have any questions so far? Let me go ahead and I'm going to enable the chat window. So go ahead and feel free to put your questions in the chat window. And we will get some questions answered, or raise your hand. We'll bring you on to the live call. And in the meantime, let me get my presentation started here again. Just give me 1 second. And,
So I think we have a question here in the chat from Joel. It says, what are some ways to reach out to potential connections on LinkedIn to grow your network? So that's a really good question. And the answer is to basically do an analysis of the profile. So you want to make sure you look at the profile and see, oh, we share XYZ connections. Oh, I see that you're actually active in a certain charity. In fact, I reached out to somebody, Joel, who had on their profile that they were really active with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And why that was important to me is my daughter used to work for them. So I reached out and I said, hey, I saw that you're active with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We share some common connections and we're both, in XYZ group. Love to connect with you. Well, as soon as they accepted the connection request, I sent a thank you message and we jumped on a call. And what that led to, which was very cool, is on a phone call, he said, you know what? I would love to contribute to your daughter's fundraiser for the for the Brothers and Sisters. I can't remember if it was Big Brothers and Sisters or the Boys and Girls Club, which I think she worked for both. But it's amazing. So you want to be able to look at a LinkedIn profile and see where the common areas are. And always, always, always thank somebody when they accept your connection request. Hopefully that answered the question, because again, if you don't do anything after somebody accepts your connection request, I think the challenge that you're going to find is that it just falls in dead space.
yeah. Yep. All right, let's see. Share screen. All right. Fantastic. Good stuff. I love hearing you talk every single time because I'm like, oh my God, I got a lot of work to do. So, and what I have found, I mean, for those of you that are listening to the recording or you're live, is I finally got to the point where I go, you know what? I've had so much success with your strategies that I no longer really have a lot of time to manage it. So I went and found somebody to manage all that. And so this is the challenge with processes and systems in your business is if you take action, which is what we're going to talk about next, you're going to outgrow yourself. So I just responded to a client yesterday, actually with a post on Facebook, and says, okay, here's my business. How do I get the business to run by itself? And the thing is you're not going to ever get there without people. So you're never going to get there without having somebody to automate, delegate, or outsource the work that you don't want to do in your business. And so we talked about the inner game, which has to do with mindset, and you can apply this strategy to any area of life. It can be health, fitness, business, marriage, the relationship with your kids. It all starts with the mindset first, and then putting together systems in place, which is what we shared with you today. But finally, at some point, you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to take action consistently. And so one of my favorite stories around action has to do with this guy right here, a guy named Jerry Rice. So Jerry Rice, and I believe it was either his second or third Super Bowl he just won. This is back in the day when they had the Pro Bowl the next week after the championships, the 1 week prior to the Super Bowl. So normally it was in Hawaii. And this was the first Super Bowl that he won with Steve Young. And Steve tells the story. He says, hey, I was getting ready to fly over to Hawaii. I forgot something in my locker at the 49ers trading facility, so I drove down to pick it up. He says, the thing that really impressed me about Jerry Rice was we had just won the Super Bowl. We're all going to Hawaii. And I noticed that the lights are on in the practice facility when I go to get my jacket out of the locker. So I was just curious. I went in there, and sure enough, it's Jerry Rice in there by himself, running routes, already prepping for next year. Now, if you think about that, the biggest lesson there is like, it's not enough to take action today. It is important to continue to take action over and over and over and over and over and over again, practicing your craft, your skill set, the things that are important in your business, so they become muscle memory, they become automatic, they become consistent. And so I always like to end my talks with a little exercise I call the what level exercise. And the more honest you are with the answers to the questions I'm about to ask you, the better you're going to be able to set yourself up for success going into 2021. And so if you and I were in an audience and I was in front of the room, I would ask the question, okay, good afternoon, and you would respond to me with good afternoon. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're a couch potato, you don't do anything, you're a bum, and 10 meaning you're off the charts, you're a machine, right? We're going to call that a level 6. So I would say good afternoon. You would respond to good afternoon. We'll call it a level 6. Next, I would say, okay, let's play at a higher level, a little bit more energy, a little bit more enthusiasm. And if you want to smile this time, you can. That's a script. So if you ever get into a position where you want to speak publicly, all it is a bunch of micro scripts added together. Okay. And so I would say good afternoon at a higher level voice, and you would say good afternoon back, and I'd say, okay, great. Now let's play the level 10, the highest level, full energy, full enthusiasm. Get out of your chair, give each other a high five, stand on the chairs, go crazy, and I ask the question. And every audience I've done this with for the last 10 to 15 years, the whole room erupts. And so after the crowd dies down, I ask this question. I go, okay, let me ask you a question. First we play to the 6, then a 10. First a 6 and then a 10. Over the last 30 days, over the last 90 days, over the last 12 months, whatever period you want to measure, what level have you been playing at in your business? And so that's the question I have for you today is, only you know the answer to this question. Over the last 30 days, 90 days, what level have you been playing at in your business? And some of you are like me. You play at a higher level anyways. You play at a level 7 or above, and you're just constantly consistent, and you play at a high level. I get that. And some of you are like, oh, man, I need to step it up. But let me ask you another question. As you've been showing up in the relationships that are the most important to you, your spouse or significant other, or maybe your children, what level have you been playing at? And most of the time, that question right there levels the room. Because in order to live a fulfilling life, it's important to play at a high level in every area of your life. Balance should never be the focus. So the question I have is, what level are you playing at? What level would you like to play at? And so in order to get yourself to play at a higher level, you got to get yourself to do two things. Number one, you've got to expand your comfort zones. If you're going to grow in any way, shape, or form, you're going to have to operate outside of your comfort zone. So what I would recommend is constantly be in a situation where you're expanding your comfort zones, and you're reading at least a book a month. You're listening and digesting audio and following the people that you want to be more like. Next is you got to take some new action. And one of the actions that you can take today, and I'm going to go into the end here, is we're going to start a mastermind group. It's going to start in February. And we're going to cap the audience, the membership, to 12 people, no more than 12. So those of you that are on the live webinar right now, those of you that are the thousands of you that are going to listen to the recording, we're going to fill this in the next 2 weeks. I already know, because every time we do this, it gets filled. And it's going to be on a first come, first serve basis. I'm going to ask you some very specific questions to see if this would be a fit for you. But if you want to take everything that we've talked about here today and you want to grow that, and you want to master that, and you want to expand your business, it's going to be every single week for the next 6 weeks, once we start this, that we're going to have a live mentorship call. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be saved in a content library. We have a private member Facebook group that we're going to add people to give you guys some opportunity to collaborate with one another, have culture, have a community. We're going to be sharing all the content there, great business ideas. Everything is going to be geared towards you growing your business and exceeding the results that you thought you were going to hit this year. We're going to push you to lay out a plan to exceed those goals. Next, towards the end, probably after the third call, the fourth call will be a bonus call. It's just going to be a live Q&A. You're going to show up with whatever business problem you have, whatever sales problem you have, anything that you want the answer from the expert to. You're going to be able to show up with your questions, and we're going to get those answered. And you're going to get the benefit of a mastermind group masterminding on your business problem. Because trust me, between Rhonda and I and the other 12 people or the other 11 people besides you that are in the group, if we can't solve your business problem, then it's probably a very unique problem. And so I've never been in a mastermind group where people have not grown. I've always grown through mastermind groups. We're going to take, we have an online content library, and I'm going to give access to all the content that I have. I have created so much content on growing companies over the last several years that every person in this mastermind group is going to get every single thing that they need to grow their business: professional sales training, marketing, business processes, systems, everything that you need to grow your business. Everything LinkedIn. Rhonda's going to drop a ton of stuff in there about LinkedIn and how to master LinkedIn and how to turn it into everything that you've ever wanted as far as success. And so if you've never been a part of a mastermind group, I have been a part of a lot of them over the years. I would definitely not be where I'm at had I not been a part of a mentorship program or a mastermind group. The other thing we're going to do is each one of you, the reason we're capping it at 12, is each one of you are going to get a one-on-one session with Rhonda and myself. So that way we can dial in strategies that are unique to your business alone. We want you to succeed from this mastermind group. We want you to give us a referral at the end of the mastermind group. We want a testimonial at the end of the mastermind group. So we're going to bring our A game to this. Now, if you're concerned, you're like, I don't know. Well, we're going to guarantee it. And here's how the guarantee is going to work. If you sign up for the program, okay, and you get 2 weeks into it, okay, 2 weeks max. So you attend 2 weeks of this mastermind group and you don't feel like you're getting the value out of it and it's not for you, I'm going to give you a full refund, okay? Never had to give a refund in these types of mastermind groups, but I want it to be there for you just in case you wanted to have that. We got some bonuses for today. If you sign up today only, if you're watching the recording, this is based on the honor system. Okay, so it's going to be based on the honor system that you have watched this and you're gonna connect with me. TTI, DISC, behaviors. Okay, the more you understand your behavior type and the more you understand other people's behavior type, the communication level increases dramatically. Your sales go up, your culture increases. I'm going to include that as a bonus. Driving forces, what motivates you on a personal level. I'm going to give you that assessment too. So now you know, you and whoever your mentor or coach is, and if you're the mastermind group, we're going to be able to help you with this. I'm going to show you how to take your behavior type, your driving forces type, and I'm going to show you how to tweak the strategies in your business where they leverage your personal strengths. Everybody that works with me one-on-one has to go through this because it's a requirement working with me that they have to increase their revenue. They have to grow personally. They have to increase. They need to be a better person 90 days from the day they start with me than they were before they started. And this is where we start, getting them the right business strategies. Rhonda's going to give you a bunch of invitation scripts for LinkedIn. She's got a whole library of them. She's going to give you those. It's about worth $197. Secret sources for posting LinkedIn content. She's going to share with you the arsenal, all the tools for free. You're going to get that as a bonus today. You're going to get a one-on-one LinkedIn profile audit with Rhonda. She's going to sit down with you over Zoom, go through your LinkedIn profile, audit it, and give you the recommendations on how to make improvements. That right there, knowing what I know now, knowing the benefit I have received after doing this with Rhonda years ago, I would have paid her 10 times this amount to do that. I mean, I've made so much money, and you heard the testimonials of just having my act together on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you a workshop that I did called How to Turn LinkedIn into a Lead Generating Machine. Now that you got your profile set up, you got all your systems set up, I'm going to show you how to turn LinkedIn literally into a lead generating machine. Last but not least, and I do this once a year, you're going to get a ticket to a 2-day marketing to sales workshop. I do this every year for business owners, how to take all your marketing, how to create a funnel out of your marketing that takes your marketing and drives it to sales. You're going to have your products, your services, all the different tiers of pricing. We're going to work out all that over this 2-day period of time so you can go to market properly priced and with a sales strategy and a marketing strategy on how to get there. So if you add all this up, we're going to give you $3,479 in bonuses for signing up today. Now, normally we would be charging $2,997 for this. And I've had people for many years. I paid lots more for this for Grant Cardone, which is my mentor, on his 8-week mastermind course. I paid lots and lots more for that. But today and today only, we're going to do that for $997. Okay, one-time fee, $997, and you're going to be added to the mentorship group. You're going to be in this mastermind. You're going to get all the support and help that you need. And I'll tell you, my ultimate goal, and I know Rhonda's ultimate goal, is to have you be so successful with this experience that at the end of the 8 weeks, I'm going to come to you and say, hey, would you give me and Rhonda a testimonial? I want to know where you were beforehand, and I want to know where you're at the end. And I guarantee you, if you take everything that we're going to teach you and all the support that you're going to get, and the fact that we're keeping it small and it's going to create a lot of relationships that last forever, you're going to succeed in your business. I would be shocked if you don't get at least 5 to 10 times your investment back in the first 90 days. In fact, the only reason I would say that you wouldn't get it back is if you don't take action on the material. If you're not a person that's coachable, this is not for you. If you're not a person that takes action, this is not for you. But if you're in a business and you really want to take your business to the next level, I would make this investment. Now, how do you apply? Well, you can't go and buy it right now, okay? Because we're not just going to allow anybody into this mastermind group. We're only going to put people that are coachable, people that take action, people that are committed to their success, and we're going to add them to the mastermind group to make sure that we got the right people in that group. And we're going to launch this in February. So how do you do that? You go to my website, johntyron.com/book-appointment. You're going to click on the 10 to 15 minute appointment. You get access to my calendar. You're going to book a 10 to 15 minute phone call with me. I'm going to hop on that call with you. I'm going to ask you very specific questions about what are your goals for this year? What are the challenges that you have in your business? Ultimately, where do you want to go? And based off the answer to those 3 questions, I'll be able to tell you, hey, this is worth your time and money or not. Not everybody is going to be a fit for this. I'm just being straight up and honest with you. But I'll be able to tell in the first 10 to 15 minutes if this would work for you, if this would be worth your time, energy, and investment. Because I already know we're going to fill it, and I want to make sure that this would be beneficial for you. Remember what I said in the beginning. I was homeless, dropped out of high school, had 0 chance of success, but it was the mentors that I brought into my life that have allowed me to be where I'm at today. One of the best mastermind groups I ever joined was when I hit $1 million in 3 years in business, and I was allowed to join this mentorship group. You had to have $1 million business to do it, and my business just skyrocketed from that point forward because I had 11 other people besides me, which is how I modeled this after, that literally poured their heart and soul into my business and took me to a level I could never have gotten to without their help. Gary's the guy that I do this. You know, he's the one that helped me out, man. This is like, it's so heartfelt for me to be able to help other business owners succeed. And if that's you, I would highly encourage you to sign up today. Just remember, the mentors that you have in your life will make all the difference in the world. So here's my closing thought. Whether you sign up today or not, you're going to pay either way. Investment right now is $997. And if you show up, and you show up to the weekly call, and you do the exercises we're going to give you, and you take the mentoring, and you show up with the questions, and we're going to answer the questions. If you show up, you're going to, like I said, you're going to pay the way. You're either going to pay the $997 or you're going to pay the cost of not being a part of it. But I guarantee if you show up and you participate, I promise you this, you will 10x that investment in terms of results in your business. So again, go back, johntyron.com/appointment, and book your time to meet with me. And I look forward to talking to you and experiencing your success. Rhonda, you got any parting words that you'd like to share?
No, I thought this was great, and I look forward to connecting with all of you on LinkedIn. And feel free to book the appointment with John. You'll get 10 times your money's worth, believe me. Anyway, I really look forward to it, and we hope you can join us.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. We're going to kick this off in February, and so it's going to be fun because we'll take this one and we're going to do probably 2 or 3 more this year too. So it's going to be fun. But if you want to take advantage of it, get a hold of me, and hopefully you can be a part of the group and you're ready to take action in your business. So go out and make it happen. If you enjoyed this, share it with everybody that you know. Put comments. It's going to be up on YouTube. It's streaming live on YouTube right now. So you can go up there and watch it there and share it and